Okay. Anything else on that test that you guys, or how are you feeling about these? Are you feeling like you're ready to go on now for these? Or you want to do a couple so I can put it on a recording?
I had problems with the ones with the seconds, like 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay, so IV push.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at question number 5. Can you guys see it? Can you guys see question 5?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for these questions, the first thing you have to do is calculate your dose. Okay. So you have ordered 150 milligrams, and on hand you have 50 milligrams per ml. So first thing you're going to do is calculate your desired dose. So what is that? How many mLs you're going to give?
3.
Okay, you're going to give 3 mLs. Okay. And now it wants to know how many ml will you give over each minute. Okay. And you have a total of 5 minutes. So we're going to do over 1 minute, we're going to do over 30 seconds, and we're going to do over 15 seconds. Okay. All right. So we have 3 mLs, and we're going to give that over 5 minutes. So you're going to take 3 and divide that by 5 minutes because you're given 3 mLs and it's over 5 minutes. And what did you get?
0.6.
Okay. You got 0.6 mLs, and that's how much we're giving every minute. Okay. Now, how many 30-second intervals are in 1 minute?
2.
2. So now you can take your 0.6 and divide that by 2. And that tells you how many mLs you're giving every 30 seconds, which is what?
0.3.
Right, 0.3 mLs. Now, what if I said give it over every 15 seconds? How many 15-second intervals are in 1 minute?
4.
4. So take your 0.6 and divide it by 4. Should get 0.15, right?
Yeah.
So that's how much you're giving every 15 seconds. Now, if you take 0.15 and you multiply that times 4, that tells you you're giving 0.6 every minute. And that's what you just decided a little bit ago, right? 0.6 every minute. Okay. Here's their math. First thing you always have to do is calculate your actual dose that you're going to give. And then you divide that dose over the time. See, like down here. Okay, now let's do it on the whiteboard. Okay, the order was for 150 milligrams. On hand, you had 50 milligrams per ml, and it was to be given over 5 minutes. All right, so we did that math and we determined that we had 3 mLs and we're giving it over 5 minutes. And that was 0.6 mLs per minute. Okay. And then I asked you over 30 seconds. So 0.6 divided by 2, because there's two 30-second intervals in a minute. And that would equal 0.3 every 30 seconds. And if you did it over every 15 seconds, because there's 4 15-second intervals, we would have 0.6 divided by 4, which equals 0.15 mLs every 15 seconds. Okay, so let's try some practice. Okay, here's your question, number 11. See if you can do it. Remember, start with what the question's asking you. That tells you how to set it up.
Is the answer 0.8?
Is everybody done doing the math?
Yeah.
Did everybody get that?
0.83333. Yes.
Okay. Now, what if I said over 15 seconds? How much you gonna give?
Zero point 0.6? No, zero. Yeah, well, yeah.
Over every 15 seconds. Remember, you calculated 0.8 over 1 minute. So what do you have to do here? What's the next step?
Oh, I gotta take the 0.8 and divide it. Okay.
By 4.
I did the other number by 4. Okay.
Okay. And that should have gave you 0.
Mm-hmm.
What?
2,
Okay.
I think.
And if I said over every 30 seconds, what'd you get?
0.4.
Okay. All right. So we're good that one. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here's another one. Again, see if you can calculate how much over a minute, how much over 15 seconds, how much over 30 seconds. Okay, so what do we get for 1 minute?
Um, for 2 minutes, a two.
Well, it's asking you for 1 minute, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. 2 mLs
Okay,
per
so
minute.
2 mLs per minute. And now how much every 30 seconds?
Um, that's for 0.5.
So if you're given 2 mLs in a minute and I'm asking you every 30 seconds, what would you divide it by?
Um, no, 30 seconds, two, sorry, two.
So it should be 1 ml, right?
1
Why?
ml,
1 ml every 30 seconds and how much every 15 seconds?
0.5.
0.5. Good. So 2 over a minute, right? 1 every 30 seconds and 0.5 every 15 seconds. All right, the rest of those are going to be a little bit different. So how are you feeling about those now? I don't think we did this one. No, that's a little bit different. All right, so those ones I didn't put on the test, just the way that you did them. What other questions you have questions about?
Miss Loesch, can we do the questions where it asks you to I guess find the answer and then round it, let's say to the nearest tenth, or yeah, to the rounding the final answer to like the nearest tenth.
Okay, so here's one rounding to the nearest tenth. All right, so this is just weight based. All right, now with weight based, what are you going to start with?
Um,
Can you guys see the question?
yes, changing it from pounds to kilogram. So
Okay, so we're going to start in the calculator with the 82.4. It's in pounds, so we're going to divide it by
2.2.
2.2 and keep that whole number in your calculator. All right, the doctor ordered 2 milligrams per kilogram. So you're going to multiply that whole number times 2. And that is your ordered dose. Now you have to put that over what you have on hand. So you're going to divide that, right,
Mhm.
by your 125 times 2. And what answer did you end up with?
1.198.
Okay. Now let's look at the answer. It says round off your final answer using 1 decimal place. That's the same as the nearest tenth. Okay. So the nearest tenth is going to be which number on that screen that you see of mine?
The one.
The one after the decimal place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this number to the right dictates what you're going to use to round with. So this will round the 1, the 8 would round the 9, the 5 would round the 8. So it's always a number to the right that does the rounding. So for this one, we're trying to round this number. So if this number is 5 or greater, what happens to this number?
It goes up to 2.
It goes up to 2. So this is going to be 1.2 for the answer because it wants us to round it to the nearest decimal or the nearest tenth, which is the same thing. Bam.
I have
All
one.
right. How about these ones? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You hit it right there where I was getting ready to check.
Okay. So this is the same thing, guys. Okay. What's the difference here?
The
All right. The
microgram.
difference here is your order dose is in micrograms and it's per minute, and you have to get to milliliters per hour. Okay. So here's where you start with the weight. So write your weight down 170. Okay. Your order dose is 5 micrograms per kilogram per minute. So write that down. And on hand, you have 50 milligrams in 50 mLs. All right, let's go to the whiteboard. The most important thing here is to leave everything in your calculator. All right, so we're going to start with 170, and we're going to divide that by 2.2. And that gave us 77.27. And I just put a line under that. That represents infinity, but I leave that whole number in my calculator, okay? You're going to take that whole number and you're going to multiply that times your 5 micrograms. And that gives you 386.36 again per minute. Okay. You have to get to mLs per hour. The next thing you're going to do is convert this 386.36 to milligrams per minute. And you're going to do that by taking that whole number and divide it by 1,000. And that's going to give you 0.386 blah, blah, blah milligrams per minute. Okay. So now your medication is in milligrams, but you still need to get it to per hour. So now we can multiply both sides by 60. This is going to convert this to an hour. Okay. So 0.386, that whole number times 60. And that should have gave you 23.18. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Now you have milligrams per hour. Okay. And on hand, you have 50 milligrams, right? So now you can put your 50 milligrams down here. Okay. And this is times 1 ml, by the way. So milligrams is going to cross out here. So take your 23.18, blah, 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 divide that by your 50. And you would take it technically times 1, which should now give you 0.46 mLs per hour. Okay. Usually they're going to have you round it off. So that would be 0. What? They have you round it to the nearest tenth. What would the answer be? 0.5. Okay. So let's see if we got it right. Usually when you make mistakes here, it's because you didn't do something with the math right. Let's see what we didn't do right. They got 23. So how'd they get 23 and we got 0.5? Ah, you see the mistake we made? We multiplied it times 1 and it was 50 in 50. So let's go back to that math. You see right here? Now we ended up with 0.463, right? So take that instead of the 0.463 times 1, take it times 50. And what'd you get? You see, you can make simple mistakes. You got to be careful with your steps. And sometimes I go really fast, so that messes me up. If you go too fast, you will mess yourself up. So let's try this again. So dose is 30 micrograms per kilogram per minute. And what you have on hand is 4 milligrams per ml. This time it is per ml. Let's go back to the whiteboard. Okay, we're going to start with our weight, which is 298. We're going to divide that by our 2.2. That gave us 135.45. Okay, and then we have to multiply that times our ordered dose, which is 30 micrograms. That gave me 4,063.63. Not sure why my pencil's not working right. All right. So now that is micrograms per minute. Everybody understands that part, right? Yes, we're good there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now because you have micrograms per minute and we need to get to mLs per hour, and what we have on hand is in milligrams. Okay. So we're going to convert this to milligrams first. So you're going to divide it by 1,000. Everything should still be in your calculator. And that should give you 4.063 milligrams per minute. Now we're going to convert it to an hourly rate. So you're going to multiply that number times 60. And that gives you 243.81 if you left the whole number in there. Okay, it should give you 243.81 milligrams per hour. Remember, it's very important that you don't clear the calculator.
Okay.
Okay, now you have 243.81 milligrams per hour, and you're going to take that over what you have on hand, which is what? 4 milligrams per ml, right? So remember, milligrams is going to cross out here, and you'll be left with mLs per hour. So 243.81, blah, 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 divided by 4 gives me 60.95. Now, if I told you to round this to the nearest tenth, what is your answer going to be?
60, is it 60.1?
No, it actually goes to 61.
61. Okay, so it would go
Because
into lower
remember,
bracket?
this number changes this number.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
if
right.
that number changes, this number is going to go up, right?
Mhm.
So really, it would be 61
That's it. So it
if
would
I
make it a
asked
whole
you to
number.
round that to the nearest tenth. Let's see if that answers on our choices. Okay, it's right there.
Yep.
Okay, everybody was able to get there?
So what did we do wrong before?
On the first question, it was 50 milligrams per 50 ml, and I only did 50 milligrams per 1 ml.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So, it's just paying attention to your steps and knowing what you have. I try to write everything down on a piece of paper before I go into the whiteboard. So let's look at the first one here. Let's see if you can do this one on your own. Now, you notice whenever it says 250 per 250, your answer, whatever you end up with, you see, that's going to cancel itself out there. But let's try it. Let's go through all the steps again, just so you totally understand. So take your weight, which is 198. Your ordered dose is 4 micrograms per kilogram. And on hand, you have 250 per 250. And you go through the steps on your paper. I'm just going to write it out on the board without saying anything and see if you were able to follow those steps.
I got 360.
Okay, so you should have ended up with 21.6 mLs per hour.
Yeah, I don't even know how that.
Miss Sue, I got everything up to the 0.36. Now, please tell me where that last time 60 comes from.
Okay, so when you got, so first, let me just go back and talk over all the steps so I don't lose anybody. So I took the weight, I divided it by 2.2. That gave me 90 kilograms. I took my 90 kilograms times my ordered dose of 4 micrograms per minute. That gave me 360 micrograms per minute. Then I divided by 1,000 to convert my micrograms into milligrams. And that gave me 0.36 milligrams per minute. Now I have to multiply by 60 to calculate milligrams per hour. Because remember, you're going to end up with mLs per hour. So my 0.36 times 60 gave me 21.6 milligrams per hour. And then I put that over what I have on hand up here. Okay. At 250 milligrams per 250 mLs. Remember, I said it was going to cross out, and that's basically what it's doing there. It's crossing out, right? Because if I divide it and multiply it times the same number, it's going to cross out. So I was left with 21.6 mLs per hour. Everybody with me? We'll do another one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still lost on that one.
See, there's your answer, 21.6. Okay, let's do number 10. Number 10 is a similar problem because what you're giving here is going to end up crossing out your answer. Because really, this is 1 milligram per ml, even though it says 500 per 500 ml. What does that really come out to? Okay, so when you see those numbers down there being what you have on hand being 500 per 500, that means whatever you get when you do the rest of the problem is going to end up being your answer. Okay, so start with your weight, 170. Your ordered dose is micrograms per minute. So 10 micrograms per kilogram per minute. And that's why I do all the steps out there. And then what you have on hand is 500 per 500. So let's go back to the steps again. So first thing I'm doing is converting my weight of 170 by dividing it by 2.2. And that gave me 77.27, right? Leave that whole number in. So now I'm going to take that and multiply it times my ordered dose, which is 10 micrograms. And this is 10 micrograms per kilogram per minute. So my answer is going to be 10 micrograms per minute. So now I have 772.72 micrograms per minute. I have to get to mLs per hour, which means I have to convert. Okay. So first, what I have on hand is in milligrams because I have 500 milligrams on hand per 500 ml. So first, I'm going to convert this micrograms per minute to milligrams. And I'm going to do that by dividing that whole number by 1,000. Now I have 0.77, okay? And it's milligrams per minute, right? I have to get it to milligrams per hour. So that's why I'm going to multiply by 60 now. And that gives me 46.36 milligrams per hour per 500 ml. So milligrams is going to cross out. I'm going to be left with mLs per hour. Now I just have to do the math. Okay. And what am I doing here? I'm taking 43, dividing it by 500. I don't know what happened there. And then multiplying it times 500. And that should equal 46.36, right? Because of
Yeah.
it, what's it going to be?
46.4.
Okay, 46.4.
Like 46.4. Okay.
Okay, 46.4. The answer's there, right? I don't know if they have any other weight-based ones on this one. Let's see.
When we get done with the weight base, can we do the IV when, let's say it says the nurse, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. The one where it says, let's say the IV was running at 1,000 ml and then it stopped and then it restarted at that, let's say 500 that was
So
left
the
in the
time
bag.
ones.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. All right, look at the first one. Okay, so what's your first step?
Weight to kilogram.
Okay, so 155 divided by 2.2. And that should have gave you 70.45 kilograms. Okay, you leave the whole number in the calculator. Now, what's the next step?
Multiply that by 4.
Multiply it times 4. So now you know that you're giving 281.81 micrograms per minute. But what you have on hand here is milligrams. So your next step is to convert this micrograms per minute to milligrams per minute. So you're going to divide that 281.81, that whole number, by 1,000, right? And now you should have 0.28 milligrams per minute. Now you have to multiply that times 60 to convert it to milligrams per hour. And how many milligrams per hour do you have now?
16.9090.
Okay, good. Now you're going to take that whole number and divide it by what you have on hand, which is 500. And it's times 300. And what'd you get?
I got 10.1
10.1 what?
mLs per hour.
You got more than 10.1. You did not get 10.1 here. What'd you get?
Oh, 10.14543.
Okay. It's important that I want you to understand. Okay. So now I said rounded to the nearest 10 so that everybody can understand how you got to the 10.1. Okay. So if you take the 10.145 and you round it to the nearest 10th, that brings you to the 10.1. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Was everybody able to get to the 10.1?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is there any tip you could give us or give me to remember that to times that 60?
Well, You have to be able to see. So when you're writing it down on the whiteboard, notice that when I wrote it down, let's go back to the whiteboard. Ah, stupid. Yes, I do. Notice that when I write it in the formula that it's in. Okay. I have to get to this liters per hour. When you do the 90.4, like here, okay, this is calculating your first dose. So if you write there that it's micrograms per minute, you know you have to get to milligrams per hour because that's what you have on hand is milligrams. So you have to convert. Your first one is just remembering to convert from micrograms to milligram. The second one is understanding if you have milligrams per minute there, you still have to get it into an hourly format. So that's why I write it out 0.36 milligrams per minute because I know I have to get it to that milligrams per hour because I have to end up with milliliters per hour. And you can't do that if your formula stays in minutes. So it's really recognizing there that you need to go from minutes to hours. That's how I remember. I can't really tell you. There's no other easy way to remember that. But you have to write it out, know where you're trying to get from what you have. And doing the steps over and over and over will also help you remember. So again, going back and practicing this. Nurses labs probably. Let's see if they have weight-based. Calc, you just kind of got to look for it. It's just that theirs can be a little challenging because of questions.
Ms. Loesch,
Yes,
can I give a tip on how?
I can't
Can you hear
understand
me?
anything. You're totally cutting out.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit now.
I don't know.
Talk now. It's clear
I
now.
wanted to give, okay, I wanted to give a tip on the weight base, the way you showed me how to do it. Um, Converting first the MCG and just putting that number right over it and just working the problem straight through. And then at the end, times it by the 60, if you remember now.
Let's see if there's another weight-based one on here. Okay, here's another one. Number 21. Let's see if you can do this one on your own. Remember what you're always going to start with. Because this one's a little backwards from the way you just read your other questions, right? But as long as you know what you need to start with and where you end up where you need to end up at, you shouldn't have any issues here.
I got 14.
Okay, what's the difference with this question, guys? Because some people may be a little confused how you got 14 here. What's the difference between this question and the one we just did?
That one is giving the order first and then going into the to do the conversion.
Your desired dose here is the difference, okay? It's in micrograms per hour, not per minute. So in this question, you don't have to multiply by 60 because it's already in that weight, that frame for you. So who was having a hard time getting to 14 on this question? You were probably getting 300 and something, right? Speak
So you
up.
basically have to pay attention to whether it says mcg per kilogram per hour or mcg per kilogram per minute.
Correct, because if it's milligrams per kilogram per minute, then you have to convert it to the hour. Here, you only had to convert micrograms to milligrams. You didn't have to do the hourly conversion. Again, like understanding what is the question asking me, where is it trying to get me to? So you might want to go in here and just try some of these and see if you can do them. Let's see if we have another one that's similar. I don't see another one in there. Let me see if I had another one over here on this IV one. Okay, here's another one. So again, look at how your desired dose is ordered. On this one, do you have to do the conversion of multiplying it by 60?
Yes.
Yes, because it's ordered in micrograms per minute. So see if you can get to the right answer here.
Oh.
We still working?
135 ml per hour.
Okay. Was everybody able to get to that?
Still working on it. Got it.
Okay, so this one started with a weight of 165 divided by your 2.2. That gave us 75 times your 30 micrograms per kilogram per minute. That should have gave you 2250 micrograms per minute divided by 1,000. It left you 2.25 milligrams per minute, both sides times 60. And that gave you 135 milligrams per hour. And then you took that over your 100 times 100. Okay. And that left you at 135. And that answer was there. Okay. This is how they do the math. Okay, so they might do it a little bit different than me, but you end up with the same answer. It's what's your level of comfort for the question that you're doing? All right, here's another one. Try another one. I'm gonna go pee real quick. All right, what'd we get?
I got 1.4 ml per hour.
Sorry, I don't have my headphones on. What do we get? I'm sorry.
I got 1.4 ml per hour.
Did everybody get that?
Yeah, 1.44.
Okay, perfect. All right, now let's try some of those calculating infusion times. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see if any of these are going to give me infusion times. It does just want you to calculate start and a stop sign. All right, I'm going to do this one again. I did this one in the front, but then we'll find another one to try to go over it again. Okay, so can you see the question? It's question 3. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is asking us if the infusion was set at 1500, the nurse should expect the solution to be empty at what time? Okay, so in order for you to calculate that, first you have to calculate how long it's going to run for. So it's going to run for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, but let's say you didn't have it exactly like that. So let's start with our 250 because that's the volume that we're running. Okay. And if you were going to calculate mLs per hour, how would you do that? How would you calculate the mLs per hour? What would be your formula?
Divided over the time.
Okay. But the problem is your time is mixed in hours and minutes, right? So what do you have to do there then?
Convert
Yep.
it.
Yeah, you have to convert it either all to hours or all to minutes and then convert it to hours. All right. So you have 250 mLs going over 2.75 minutes. And I want you to understand that it's going over the 2.75. Everybody know where I got the 0.75 from? I mean, 2.75 hours. It's going over. Everybody understand where I got the 0.75 from?
No.
Okay, so let's go to the whiteboard. So 2.75 hours is equal to 2 hours and 45 minutes because the 45 minutes divided by 60 becomes what? 0.75, right? So let's say I have 0.75 of an hour. How does that convert into minutes? You got to multiply times 60, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anytime it's a mixed situation like that, then you would divide it by 60, right? To get the 2.75 or whatever it is.
If you're converting it to minutes, yes. If you're converting it into an hour, you have to multiply. So why is that important? Okay. Let's say that the IV was started at 0800 hours. Okay. And it wants to know what time it stopped. All right. So let's say you have 1500 mLs. And it's running over, let's say it's running at a rate of 125 an hour. So let's see what that math is. 1500 divided by 125. Okay, that gave you 11.904 hours. Okay? Everybody understand why? If I'm running at 125 an hour, okay, and I have 1500 total, and I'm trying to calculate what time it's going to stop, I have to take my total volume, which is my 1500, and divide that by my rate per hour. And that means that this IV is going to run for 11.904 hours, right? Just to make it a little simpler, I want the fraction in there on purpose, but just to make it a little simpler, let's say I had 1,000 mLs. And I wanted to know how long it was going to take to run. And it's running at 125 an hour. Okay. I know that it's going to, if I do this math, right, it's going to come out to 8 hours. It's going to run over, right? And that's fine because it's 8 hours. So if I just had to add 8 hours onto 0800, what time would my IV end? At 4 p.m., right? Okay. Or 1600 military time.
1600.
But what happens when your number doesn't end up a whole number like this? Now you have to calculate the hours and the minutes. Okay. So, 11 hours added on to 0800 is going to be what? Well, if I added 12 hours, what would it be?
20.
It'd be 8 p.m., right? Which is 2000 hours. So if it was only 11 hours, then it would be 7 p.m., right? Which is 1900 hours. But I still have 0.9, and this is a reflection of a fraction of an hour. This isn't minutes. Okay, this because it was 11.9 hours. So now I would take that 0.9, okay? I would round this up if it required it to be round. In this question, it doesn't, right? Because this 4 would make it do what?
Stay the same. Because
stay the same. So I can use my 0.9.
54 minutes.
54. So that's 54 minutes. Okay. So now I know I have 11 hours and 54 minutes. So this means my IV is going to end at 1754 hours. Everybody understand why?
Mm-hmm. So
So
since
we're
it's
good
a,
with that one, right?
yeah, since it's a 0.9, you would multiply it by 60
And that would tell you the number of minutes
minutes.
that fraction of an hour equivalates to.
Okay.
You're going to round it. When you do it like this, you're going to round it to the nearest 100th for your seconds, okay?
Okay.
Because otherwise you'll get a wrong answer. So that's the easiest way to do it, is to round this one to the nearest 100 when you're doing the math. All right, so let's see if you can get it now.
There's nothing on the board.
I'm going to put it on the board.
Okay.
So we're going to have 1,300 mLs. I want to know the stop time, okay? And it's running at 150 mLs per hour. We started it at 0800. We'll just leave that time the same.
Is it 1640?
So it would be 4 p.m., yes, and then 40 minutes. So yes, it should be 1640. Was everybody else able to get to that?
Yeah.
So we'll go with those now. Most of the time, we're not having you calculate the minutes on those, but you should know how to do it because you might get one of those on a test. I can't control what comes on the exam. And if an instructor decided to put one of those on there, you would have to know how to calculate. You would be expected at this level to know how to calculate it. Let's see if I don't know if there's another one of those on here or not, but let's see. Come on. Okay, look at this one.
So that one's just asking how many hours left, right?
Correct.
Which is 2.5.
Right. So here you would put 2.5 because it's asking you in the fraction of an hour. But now let's say you wanted to convert that 2.5 into 2 hours and blank minutes. So how many minutes would that 0.5 be representative of? And 2.5 hours, you already know that, right?
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes. It's 2.5 hours. Okay. And it came right out to the dot, right?
Mhm.
Took
So
that 0.5 and you multiplied it times 60.
mhm.
See if you can calculate this one. Now, all that stuff at the top, does it matter? No, because what is this asking you about? Just the infusion. So what do you think your answer is here?
See?
Okay. Anybody else get a different answer? Anybody have a problem with that one? I don't see any more time ones here. Yeah, it looks like the rest of these are just drops per minute. Anybody else have any other questions on being able to calculate that infusion time? Do you guys feel like you're good with that? Any other questions on there that you needed me to review?
I'm okay.
I'm okay too. I
Thank
appreciate
you so much, Miss Lewis.
All right, you guys have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
All right.